Welcome to Ladies Who Question. I can't tell you how excited I am to have a guest here today who is, well, who he is. His name is Andrew Yeager, and he's a very good friend of Holly's. I met him on the 4th of July. I was lucky to go to a party, a wonderful party at Holly's house.
Thank you.
Welcome, Andrew Yeager. We're happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for coming, Andrew. We really appreciate it. Now, as you know, everyone has a story. Andrew's is quite colorful, fun, lively, and fascinating. So, audience, we have a treat for you. A dear friend of ours has led a quite colorful life, and he also gave us a writer to top it off. Our first guest with a writer.
Oh, you mean a writer in his interview contract? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
Like
this is
what he needs to have here, his entourage, and taking care of this and that. So yes, we did take care of those needs as well.
Thank you for the Four Seasons.
You're such a damn diva. Good God.
And so we're going to interview Andrew and hear about his life from the beginning. It all started in Seattle,
It did.
outside of Seattle.
It did.
And we'll start with high school.
Yeah, I think it really began very early in my years. My brother was 5 years younger than me, and he had an amazing ability to learn things quickly, right? So he wasn't really grasping the whole idea of riding a bike without any kind of
Training
training
wheels,
right?
Uh-huh.
So I said, well, Dave, there's only one thing you can do, is we're going to go to the top of this hill, and you're going to get on my orange crate, and you're going to sit in that banana seat, and you're going to go down the hill, and by the time you get to the end of the hill, you're going to know exactly how to ride a bike. Push him off. He goes down the hill. I forgot to tell him how you stop, pushing back on the brakes. There was no...
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, so what happened?
So he is trying to figure out how to stop. He can't figure out how to stop, so he goes through my parents' front yard and then down over a ravine and lands into the bushes.
Oh, my God.
So I'm running out. Dave, I think he's dead, right? When he comes out, he's like, I did it. I did it. You know, then we gradually went from that. Then my parents would always give us those big old Tonka dump trucks where you could actually, if you're small enough, you could sit in the back of the dump truck. We would sit in the back of those dump trucks and we would go down the same hill. He would crash. I'd sort of figure it out. But yeah, so my brother and I have always had a very good relationship where I've taught him how to do long division. I taught him how to do, mathematics, and taught him how to write well. And in doing that, he's gone on to be a really successful doctor and doing really, really well. And I'm slugging it up here with the girls.
You guys are opposite in your career paths, shall we say.
Yeah, it is. It's been remarkable to see Dave grow the way he's grown and some of the things he's gone through. And, I think because of my training with my brother Dave, I think when it manifested itself in how my children were raised and how I raised both my daughters, very independent, strong females. We always did things as a family. We always did things together. There was no mysteries. And the golden rule I had with my daughters is pretty simple. Lie about the small stuff, not the big stuff.
Hey, I'll tell you, that could be right up there with a golden rule.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I see a T-shirt in the making. Canva, here I come.
Holly, take it. Run with it.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to get his copyright permission.
And then after that, I went to high school. And growing up in the 80s, when you were in high school, and you guys are a lot younger than me, but it was...
No.
Well, then we need to talk about your makeup artist because it's fantastic.
I need your friend.
Yeah.
I have mascara on, and
You have blush or something. It looks good.
no.
Oh, no
This
blush?
is my rosacea.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So isn't that attractive?
But it looks good.
Oh, you save them
great.
tons on rouge.
Yeah. No. Anyway.
Well, anyway, I was saying that, in high school, growing up in the 80s was interesting because I was sort of a jock, but not really a jock. Played soccer in high school. But I was always good friends with the football players. And where I grew up outside of Seattle, it was we had auto body shop. We had woodworking. And yes, our woodworking teacher had 9 fingers, not 10.
Oh, my God.
Yep. The metal shop teacher had 1 eye, not 2. I mean, it was a real...
These certified teachers, because that
They
concerns
were.
me.
Yeah, and the home ec woman, she was interesting because she had the longest nails that were never clean. And so
and they were cooking.
I think that just molded me into today.
These freakazoid mold.
Please tell me these teachers are no longer teaching and that the school is closed.
At least I think they're probably long gone now.
Cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was, high school was interesting because I always worked really hard. And I'm getting around to the point of when you look at my LinkedIn profile or what I've done is I've always worked really hard. So I went to school. I had 3 jobs, cleaned my mom's salons. She has haircutting salons, beauty salons, and then cleaned my dad's real estate office and then delivered flowers. So I was like always working and going.
Wow. Yeah, you just had that work ethic out of the womb.
Yeah. And my parents gave us a lot. They didn't come from money, but they always worked really hard. And when I turned 16, because I was working so hard, my dad saw that I could probably handle a new car. So he said to me when I turned 16, on my 16th birthday, you can go get any car you want.
Wow.
Any car.
What'd you get?
Well, you're born in the 80s. What do you think you would have had? And I played soccer.
I bet you got a Camaro. No, Camaro.
Straight up Camaro.
Oh my God. Can you believe it?
I was going to guess Firebird, but that's
the same. Same thing.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Straight up Camaro.
Straight up
Right.
Camaro with the T-tops and the whole deal.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get a picture of my high school picture of me posing on the Camaro with the lavender colored sweater on. Fortuitous that one. But so that was it. High school. I wasn't really into college, so I went to a community college for a while, and I did go to a 4-year college for one night after.
One night.
Well, that's
Well, how did
commitment.
that work out? Because you had to go through the application, you had to move into the dorms, whatever, and then you went one night.
Yeah, well, how you having so many great kids that how it goes with college, right? And you have such a love and warm house to go to. It probably was hard for them to split. And my parents we had a very nice home. My parents were very loving. But I said, okay, I landed. I wasn't going to get into the University of Washington because you had to be really smart to go to the University of Washington. But I did go to Western Washington University in Bellingham. But I got in late, and I was in what I call overflow housing.
Oh, okay.
Load up my truck. We go up to Bellingham. I check in, and I've got a room full of like really nerds, like real nerds, straight up, wearing a lot of Drakkar cologne and gray flannel.
So go on.
So I basically moved up there. My parents moved me up, checked me in, got ready, did a couple parties around the campus, got up in the morning, loaded all my shit back up in the car, and drove home. And I remember I walked in the house, and my dad said, "What the hell are you doing here?" I go, "I'm not going there. Forget it." And my mom, Jenny, she said, "You made it one night. That's a success."
Really?
So
Wow.
through that one night stay in Western Washington, I think it cost my parents $2,500 or $3,000. We had to get all the money back. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I went to a community college after that, and that was an interesting thing too, because at that time community colleges were, they weren't a mix of a lot of younger people. They were returning adults. They were people that were wanting to have some career advancement or were out of the military. So community college back in the 80s was different than it is today.
Yeah, it was called high school with ashtrays, too, a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Harper
Yeah.
College was called.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
No.
here in Palatine or wherever the heck it is here in Northern Illinois.
Yeah, it's high school with ashtrays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I did that for a little bit, and then I said, okay, I got to get it together, right? So, but I'm still working a lot, right?
Okay.
So I went and left Tacoma. I went to Bellevue, and Bellevue is where Microsoft is based, and a lot of tech businesses are based. I moved in with my buddy Nick, and we're renting, we're having fun, and I'm an avid skier, so every Wednesday we're going to Bellevue Community College, which I called it USC, University of Southern Crossroads, because it was in the town, like Crossroads. And every Wednesday I said, okay, look, we've got $9 ski tickets. We got to go to Stevens Pass. Nick's like, okay, he's working at Tradewell being a grocer. So, we're skiing a lot, and he finds this company, and he starts working in this company, and he's in the mailroom, and he's doing a bunch of weird stuff, and they're not paying him. They're giving him stock, and we're in our 20s. We're like,
Oh, God. He's getting stock at where? Oh, somewhere. Okay, a tech company. Okay, go on.
So I said, Nick, this is ridiculous. You're not making any money. We can't buy lift tickets on stock.
I bet he can buy a lot now.
I said, you need to quit. So he quit that company. Well, he would have been one of the first 20 employees of Microsoft.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
God.
And you're like, so he blames you to this day.
I'll bet he haunts you and
Yeah. Well, he's on unemployment now. No, I'm just
yeah,
Oh
and
my
you
God.
conquered the world. Ooh, maybe you should send him a check.
Yeah, no. So Nick and I have stayed really good friends. Nick's gone on and been very successful in his own contracting painting company. Ended up painting big, huge military ships for the shipyard.
Big contracts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, Nick, doesn't that work kind of boring? He said, no, because you know what? It's all one color.
Because it's military. So yeah, it's
all-
just the same
it's all
grade.
great.
And
Yeah.
he actually probably doesn't paint. He's got a whole
He's
team.
got a crew and
Yeah. And the contracts
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I guess he's doing okay.
Yeah. So after that, Nick, I just said I'd get my stuff straight here. So I went to Seattle University and finished up the last 2 years at Seattle U. And I'd like to say I was a really good student, but I spent a lot of time in Hawaii.
What?
Not really, not really studying that much. And you met a bunch of people that I really care about from Seattle University. And I remember specifically I was going to be pre-med, but I don't really have the brain capacity to be pre-med. But they,
I don't know about that.
my counselor called me and said, Andrew, what are you going to do? You're like all over the board. I'm like, well, what's my easy escape route here? They're like, take one psychology class and you can graduate. I said, so I'll take a psychology class.
Okay.
So took a psychology class, graduated, started to work at a occupational health and safety company called Safety and Supply. And so after this glorious $40,000 a year job, I got to sit and sell rubber boots to fishing boats in Alaska.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
This is on a.
Did you live in Alaska?
Never. And I don't really know much about fishing boots either. But
All you had to know was that there was a supply and a demand, and you were fulfilling it.
Lisa, believe it or not, fish guts on a fishing boat are very acidic and they burn through rubber shoes all the time.
Oh, that's something I
okay.
would have never known or needed to know.
So
but
I'm sure the company had a patent on this.
Well, they were just
they needed them all the
distributors.
time.
Yeah.
right.
So
but
this was feeding his
Yeah.
his coffers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Then after that, successful selling boots to fishermen, I went and started selling occupational health and safety fire equipment for volunteer fire departments throughout Washington State. And I had to get a life lesson on those because they would typically did not like this one brand, which was MSA. So I had to figure out how to sell against MSA with Scott because the majority of firefighters like to use Scott equipment. You'll see that everywhere,
okay.
right? So I had to figure out how to try to sell MSA equipment because we didn't have the Scott. So after that didn't work out very well.
So life knowledge.
Yeah.
Right, but
a
all these
route along the way.
experiences.
Yeah, but at least you're so right. Like, having to learn how to navigate waters that you're not familiar with, I think is one of the reasons I got to the point I'm at today is because Holly, you're such a hard worker and you've always done so great in your career and been so
She
successful.
is.
No.
And
yeah.
she's great.
Well, I work hard.
You branched.
I branched out.
She is on it.
Well,
Yeah. You are good at what you do.
You are the
And-
designer supplier to the stars.
I wouldn't say that. But it's fun and I like what I do and it's rewarding to have my own business. But let's get back to you.
So after that, successfully or not successfully, depends on how you look at it, I was wondering what I was going to do. And I actually was called up by my roommate was Kirk Lemoyne, and he worked as an accountant at Muzak.
I remember Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Kirk's like, well, you should meet with this guy, maybe get a job selling locally for Muzak. And I'm like, well, okay, I sold boots to fishing boats. I sold bad supply system, air supply system. How bad can this be, right? So I get an interview with the local Muzak office, and the guy, a local Muzak office, he says, you know what, you're just not qualified for this job.
What? Based upon
This is Muzak.
No, I mean I get it.
No, I mean,
That's
like-
why I'm
Yeah,
baffled.
not qualified to sell local music, Muzak, right? So
Oh
I said,
God.
well, whatever. And just about that same time, I was on the cover of Seattle U's alumni magazine. You know,
What?
some things I was doing, it was interesting. So they put me on the cover, and the senior VP at Muzak's son and daughter went to Seattle U and saw my name. And Kirk, and he had that alumni magazine on his desk. Somehow he connected with Kirk. Kirk was my roommate, and so I meet with the senior exec at Muzak. And he says, well, you've got a great career. You're amazing. Do you want to run
gosh.
marketing for us?
Wow.
And
How
I go,
serendipitous to be on the cover coincidentally, and I hope that other guy who said you weren't qualified took a
his
dive.
Butt kicked.
so I said, at that time, marketing, as you both know, wasn't done a lot inside. They outsourced a lot of marketing, right? I said, well, that doesn't seem like that's going to be a very long career. So I met a guy named Dino DeRose who ran Muzak National Sales. He was putting the team together. And the reason I'm even saying this is that's how I got to know Holly
Oh,
Dino.
And Dino,
From
from Muzak.
His wife, California, moved here. to Chicago, and then we hung out all the time because we were both transplants from California, and Dino was close with Andrew, and we'd always spend holidays together.
And there's the connection.
Well, he was only close because he got overrides on my commissions.
Oh.
I'll
Well,
openly tell you that.
how
we're only hanging,
copacetic.
we're only hanging out with you because we make money off of Yeager.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh.
so I interviewed with Dino, and Dino said, "Okay, look, you can do this job. I know you can do it. I'm building a new sales team, but here's the hitch: you have to move to Chicago. And when you grow up in Seattle, Chicago is O'Hare and onward somewhere else, right?
Flyover state.
Flyover." So I said, okay. So that night I was going to have dinner with my parents. I came into Seattle, sat down, and I said, Dino gave me the proposal and said it's going to be $60,000 a year back in 91 or 90. And I
That's
said,
pretty good.
really good. And I said, but I was skiing, mountain biking,
Yeah.
running, sailing, boating.
Outdoor lifestyle.
Outdoor lifestyle.
all the time.
All
Yeah.
the time, 24 hours, always there.
That's tough.
So I went to dinner with my dad, and I said, well, I don't know if I'm going to take the job. And he looked at me, and he was in the Navy. He looks at me and said, well, why wouldn't you? I go, well, it's in Chicago. And he said, well, what's it pay? I said, $60,000. He said, if you don't take that goddamn job, I'm taking it.
So wait. So he. Oh my
Totally true.
gosh!
That's
So
so
you're making
funny.
91, and you're taking a pay cut to go to Chicago. What do you think your father was?
Well, he recognized my potential, and he recognized that was a really good pay for me to go to Chicago. So we move out from Seattle to Chicago. My girlfriend at the time, Shannon, and we landed here, and we knew nothing about it. And Dino didn't even show me the city. Like I had a backpack.
Oh my God.
And probably $300 in my pocket, right? And I'm trying to find a place to live. And I remember going into some of these, I live in the Gold Coast now, trying to go into some of these buildings. I remember the door person saying to me, doorman back then, saying to me, well, you can't afford to live in this building. And I was like, I'll be damned if I'm not. And now that building is junior to where I'm living now. And I walk by that building every day and I say,
We'll bleep that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so at that point, we were really looking, my girlfriend, Sam Shannon, we were looking for either be downtown, and then we got invited to this wonderful party for 4th of July at Holly and Tom's house. And I really liked all of her friends. And it was a real decision that we had to sit down and make. Either we were going to go to Lake Bluff or we were going to stay downtown.
I didn't know that.
And the only reason we were going to go to Lake Bluff is because of Holly and all of her friends.
Well,
And that's on Scott's truth. And to this date, Lisa, it's the only thing that I celebrate is Holly and Tom's 4th of July party.
well, you wouldn't have gone
gosh.
wrong by
Other
moving
than
here
Christmas.
because of Holly.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. I
Yeah.
had no idea. I wish you would have lived here. That would have been so
That's a
fun.
wonderful revelation.
Okay. Well, so
heart
Well,
is
Lisa's got some extra
unfolding.
bedrooms in here. So
yes.
I
So
only
where
have
did
one
you
bathroom.
wind up moving? Is that when you moved
I've got
to
short
the
hair.
And where was your first place?
So our first place, was at City Front, which was downtown, right by Navy Pier.
Okay.
And Holly, I remember when we moved in there, I thought, I can't afford this rent. It's $1,000 a month. How am I going to afford that?
And that year was when?
1993, 92. How am I going to pay? And it was a small place.
Yeah.
People used to say, hey, it's summer. You can take the wool out and put the linens in. You'll get 500 more square feet. It was so small. So small.
But
Wow.
that's a good
But
location.
yeah, I was going to
though.
say.
Yeah.
Great location.
So we moved out of that, and then we bought a place at 2020 Lincoln Park West. That was our first condo, and then lo and behold, our first daughter Ailish came aboard, and it was. And at that time, at least I was traveling nonstop. I was logging lots of miles. I was creating, a really good career for myself at Muzak, and I was gone all the time, making really great money though.
Yeah.
Came home one night after a long flight from San Francisco. Shannon, was there with Ailish, and I couldn't get the door open. I realized that she had thrown out the breast pump, that she was done with it.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
She's like, I'm done with this breast pump. We called them Shannon shooters. Done with this breast pump. We're going to go, we're going formula way. So the reason I'm even bringing this up is I knew that I had to make even more money or be even more successful because I needed to buy a home because my family needed more space.
Okay,
Okay.
but wait, what is that? I'm confused here about the whole breast pump thing. You couldn't get in the.
Because the condo was so small And the breast pump box that it was in was so big
Oh, they're big.
that you
Okay.
couldn't open up the door all the way. So I'm trying to get in through the door.
I see.
I've got my bag with me, and I'm like, "That's it. We got to get out of it. We got to get a bigger,
Okay,
bigger
I'm not
place."
familiar with that whole. It's a whole machine thing?
Well, kind of.
I've got one
Oh,
down in the
okay.
van if you want to see it.
What have you not got in
Latex.
there?
Well, no dead bodies.
Okay, well, that's a plus.
Okay, so
anyway.
but you kept the condo, which was so smart.
Kept the condo, bought a house. I remember in 6th grade, reading these history books about Cabrini Green. And how, for lack of better word, it wasn't really the right setup for, it was not the right deal to do. So
Well, it was not the best setup for people who were there.
it was set up to be a temporary solution, but
That-
ended up being a permanent solution.
Exactly.
And they weren't built to be a permanent solution. Bought this house, and it's in the footprint of Cabrini Green, in the footprint of Big Red.
When they first started developing the land west of Wells Street.
I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first night there, I go over, there's a brand new Dominic's grocery store that opened up. And I'm walking out with Pampers and diapers and formula. And I'm right there is Big Red. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, where am I? I'm a little mouse in a big city from outside of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm carrying these Pampers to my car, house was a block away, I hear 3 gunshots.
Oh, unfortunately, that's not that
Way to move your
unusual.
family. But, we lived there for...
Hey, honey, aren't you glad we did
Surprise.
this?
Yeah. We'll be okay.
Yeah, we're fine. Roll them up.
Yeah.
But we lived in that house for 25 years, and it was a really great experience. We also had Reese, at that time too, and
And that's
my youngest daughter,
Your youngest
who's
daughter?
a social influencer. Very proud of Reese. She's 20. Fake ID says 23.
okay.
So I'm incredibly proud of Reese. So
course.
both my daughters live in the city. Ailish went to Loyola. During COVID, she actually continued on and got her master's. So she has her undergrad and master's from Loyola. She's working at Google. She's now becoming an adjunct professor at DePaul.
Wow.
And she's pregnant. And I'm going to be a grandfather January 16th.
I can't wait.
Wait, she's working at Google,
Yeah.
and she's also becoming an adjunct professor, and she's pregnant.
And she's 24.
Well, at least she's got that 20s energy.
But she's hit it.
Yeah.
Like she's I
yeah.
mean, where's she going to be at 30? She'll be running some
Yeah.
company.
I don't know where she's going to be. I hope she has a big enough house I can live in the pool house. That's my goal.
That sounds
Payback.
like a fun goal.
Yeah, that's what she wants. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, Dad. Great,
Babysitter's
move
here.
in with
The
us.
babysitter's here.
Oh, well,
that
yeah.
would be a comedy.
Yeah.
Like
The
Adam
babysitter's
Sandler.
here.
The babysitter's here, and you show up going, yeah.
I have girdles.
Well, I will say I've taught the girls at a very young age how to make a martini. So they are
Thank God.
my grandson will know how to make a martini.
Okay. Oh, it's a boy.
It's a boy. It's a boy.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cute.
We're
Okay.
excited.
I'm excited for you.
So fast forward, I had left Muzak at 40. Because the girls were about mid-teens, and I said I got off of a flight on United, and you know this, that you can smell your children. And I remember your children always have a particular scent to them.
Okay.
Every
I
parent,
understand.
every parent, right? And I was in the back of this 747-400 flying from San Francisco. It was a snowstorm, and I was in row 36 in the middle.
Ugh.
And all I could think about is, what am I doing? I'm 40. I'm missing all these years of my kids. I'm in a hot plane with people that I don't even know. And I got off that plane at O'Hare, and I said, I'm done. So I stopped working at 40. And I took the next year or two to build shit, to break things. I didn't wear pants.
What? Oh, he wore a girdle. That's how he got it.
Playtex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playtex
Freelance.
girdle, yeah.
No, I wore shorts. And I remember I was wearing shorts nonstop and riding my bike. And I remember if I didn't go out and ride on the lakefront and didn't have a glass of wine by 12, that it just didn't seem like a complete day.
Good for you.
But after-
to have that realization and
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I dream about stuff like that myself at my old age, but yeah.
Well, so you pulled back and you said, this is my priority. I have 2 children and a marriage that I need to tend to. These kids need me and I need them.
Yeah.
Okay. And you fortunately had the wherewithal to be able to pull that off. And you did it,
Yeah.
as Holly pointed
Yeah.
out.
My
Good
goal,
for
Lisa,
you.
was that I wanted to walk my kids to school with my dog.
Oh my God.
So that's what I wanted to do.
How simple.
And so it got to the point with my kids were like, can we just drive to school? I'm like, it's literally 2 blocks away.
Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah, they were. shades on in the back seat. And so I said, no, I'm not driving the damn car 2 blocks. You got to get in queue here.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, we'll do it, right? So we waited till one day we did it, and we waited in line for 20 minutes while they were, and Ayla said to me, because she's always a go-getter, she's like, this just sucks. I go, see why we walk? But yeah, so that was my life at 40 to 42. And then I found myself on a flight going to San Francisco, not work-related, but for fun, to see some friends who live in Napa. And I walked on this plane, and I hear Andy Yeager. And the only people that call me Andy are old dear friends.
Oh, dear. I introduced
Or-
him as Andy. Sorry.
Or, as Dina would say, people from the west of the Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
So Andy's a reference from Seattle. And it doesn't bother me, but I hear this Andy Yeager, and I look, and it's my friend Mary Swab, who's sitting in first class. And she goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm flying to San Francisco. What are you doing? She goes, I'm doing a contract manufacturing gig she has a cosmetic company. I go, really? So we ended up connecting again. And on that flight from Chicago to San Francisco, we put a business plan together, and I came to be part of Color Lab Custom Cosmetics. So that was on that 4-hour
I
flight.
didn't know all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So is that, okay, Color Lab, was that the store that you had on Armitage?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I
Let's expand on that.
knew nothing about cosmetics, and
Okay.
now I can go Longfellow on cosmetics.
Oh,
I can actually,
wow.
because Color Lab Custom Cosmetics is the ability to build custom foundation, custom makeup at the point of purchase. So you could walk in, we could take care of whatever you have going on right there, and you would have your own specific custom recipe for your own foundation, eyeshadow, any of that, full face, full color.
Wow.
So I joined on with Marion. I didn't know I didn't wear makeup. I didn't have a foundation. I didn't
Right.
have any kind of background. I did
But
have
you
a
had
sales
marketing and sales.
background. Yeah.
But you recognized a good thing, and you said, I can sell the hell out of this because I've sold the hell out of all this other stuff.
Right. So
Okay.
mass customization is what I like to say. We were mass customizing makeup at the point of purchase for people. And so Mary and I got together, we got some outside funding, and I opened up cosmetic counters in all Macy's flagship stores, and then built a store on Armitage in Chicago.
Wow.
And I called that my MBA program, because I had to deal with the manufacturing part of cosmetics, which is unique, which was up in Burlington, Vermont. Then I had to deal with store employees. Then I had to deal with department stores and their employees. And here's a little secret. Department stores co-op and half pay for all those employees of all those cosmetic counters on the first floor. And the cosmetic counters on the first floor of any department store back in the day would be $10, $20, $30 million worth of revenue per store. The Macy's store downtown, which should be Marshall Fields, right? That whole first floor would be $20 million in revenue. And where you fell in the hierarchy of where you were, of your MAC Cosmetic or your Shiseido, that would be closest to door one. So every department store has a door one.
Interesting.
Oh, so whoever has it's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And didn't all the girls make commission? Or the people that worked in the cosmetics?
Well, they do. But we were so young and such a young brand that we were building, and also they also build out the counters for Estee Lauder companies. They didn't build it out for us. So every counter we built in Macy's was $120,000, $150,000, and we had to pay for our own employees.
Because you were a scrappy independent.
We're scrappy independent, but you got to sell a hell of a lot of lipsticks at $19 to make up for that overhead.
So let's talk about where it went.
Well, it went from there. Retail was kind of crashing, wasn't really doing it. And people didn't understand the customization aspect of it.
What year was this?
Probably 2004, 5.
Okay.
Because I built the store in 2006, I think.
The one on Armitage.
The one on Armitage. But people would do the time, and we'd have a unique recipe for them, and they would come back and have that replenished, and you'd have perfect. Remarkably, most women would come in and have a lipstick that they had that had some memory around it. Right? Mm-hmm. And they would have just a little left in that tube, and we would actually custom craft that lipstick to match perfect. And they'd be so happy. Because it was the first kiss their husband had or their boyfriend had, whatever. So. But the good news with Color Lab was I got to meet a guy that I really like. And now...
and it was Kismet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
That's how I met Ron. He was interviewing for a job for us, and we were out of money. And I told him, "You're better to go get a job at the Shed Aquarium right now."
Why is he good with dolphins or
No, he just he was interviewing for Shed Aquarium for marketing. Hey, look, he came into my life at the right time when I needed to have someone that I could talk to. And it's gone from that point on. So
Wow.
we've just been really good friends for a long time, and now we're looking at doing things differently for us together. So
I
And then-
kind of remember that store. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I went in there several times and you were never in there. I was expecting to always see
Yeah.
you because I didn't know you were like the big wizard behind the curtain. I'm like, is Andrew working? No. And I go, oh, rats. And so I'd go in there quite a few. And I think I bought a few things. Yeah, I remembered the store.
yeah, we were right next to Lush, and that year
You were right. Lush
Was that-
Cosmetics. I remember
Positioned that way because you wanted to be like, we'll get the overflow. If they're going there, they'll go here.
No, it was the only space I could. Retail was so hard to find on Armitage.
Oh,
What you just said, Lisa,
extremely.
Back
it was
in the
just
day.
tough, right?
Yeah.
It was.
And this spot came up, and I
just
lunged on
nabbed
it.
it.
It was just I was on it, and unfortunately, Lush was a downfall for us because all of Lush's bulk product would leach into our store, so our store smelled like Lush.
Oh.
Oh, all those soap bombs.
All the bath bombs. and all
Lush
that
was
stuff.
kind of on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lush is on the corner. We were right next to it's 850.
Yeah. I remember.
It's still there, but it was an interesting store. When we built that store, we actually on Chicago Magazine we were voted the number one retail store design wise in that year, and that was kind of a great
That's
accomplishment.
awesome. Yeah.
From never ever building a store
Right.
to winning all of the retail stores in Chicago. It was a major
That was
accomplishment. Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that is to stand out like that. You've got this smallish store, right? Because it's hard to get any space on Armitage, especially back then.
Yeah, it was tough.
And this year was when?
2006, 2000, right in there, 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, things were just going and doing.
So my question about the company is, wasn't the internet just starting to rev with e-commerce then? Or
Yeah,
not?
I mean-
And could you do e-commerce just because you're a custom? I mean, I don't know. You tell me where it
Well,
went.
once we had the recipe, we could replenish.
Okay, right. I see.
Right. So that on the retail side, we could replenish it. Now, Color Lab's still in business. She just, when I exited, she just focused primarily on contract manufacturing, and which is really interesting because
I don't
if
understand that.
both of you guys could start your own cosmetic company, your own makeup company, but if you flew to New Jersey and went to one of the big labs, they'd say, okay, you're ready to buy 40,000 red lipsticks. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Just, unless you have an unlimited amount of
Right.
resources, you
Or
couldn't
I
do
have
it.
5,000 lips.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
If you're starting a company, that's what
Yeah,
he's
if you're-
talking
if you're
about. Not just a solo person walking in there.
It would virtually be monetarily impossible for you to go in and start your own cosmetic line right off the bat going to New Jersey. You would have to start making it in your bathtub. And that's what a lot of these small startup companies do is make it in their bathtub or on the kitchen sink or in the
Okay,
blender.
right.
What we enabled to do, what Mary still is doing is actually letting salons and spas and social media influencers actually start their own cosmetic
Private
company.
label.
Private label.
There you go. And that's what she's doing.
And that's what
so-
she
And
thinks.
that's hot. She
That-
should be doing well, I hope.
She is doing well.
Okay.
She's had the business for 30, 40 years. And so she's
Okay.
doing well in that niche. But my point being is sometimes when you expand and you go outside of what your core competencies is, manufacturing was her core competency. The retail store was a kind of a bridge for her, right? And because it was a bridge and because it was custom, people weren't used to that. You would go in and say, I need 18 shades of whatever, and you go to the benefit bar and get 18 shades of whatever. They weren't used to seeing not finished product.
I wonder how that kind of concept would par today because people love custom.
Oh,
I think yeah.
well, there are knockoffs out there now. Lip Lab is one of them where you go in and you can semi-custom your lipstick,
Okay.
meaning when you would build it with us, you would build it all the way up from the ground, from the base, the sheer, the shimmer, add additives, the plumper or whatever. You could do that. Lip Lab and those other companies out there are semi-custom. They follow
Okay.
a recipe.
Oh, wait.
Interesting.
No, wait, she's still doing this now? Or?
She's still doing it now. Yeah.
Well, then let's give her a shout out.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
give her a shout out.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary.
Hey, Mary Swab.
Hey, Mary Swab.
And what's the website?
ColorLabCustomCosmetics.com.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Order your custom.
Because that's still cool.
Yeah, that whole MBA program of learning the beauty business was much like selling rubber boots to the fisheries, right? I had to learn something new, and that is what I liked about it the most is that I was able to learn something new, and that again gets me to the point where what I'm doing now today, So
One question. It's also all the other things you did to get you to where you were. You can always sell, but you just had to learn the product and learn that.
yeah.
Because
There you go. There you go.
You are a guy meant to sell.
My opinion is everybody can sell, not everybody can connect.
Not everybody can sell.
Not
It's
everybody
people,
can connect.
People buy from people.
Right. Nobody's going to buy from a PowerPoint. Nobody's going to. People buy from people who they connect with. And as I get older, I realize we're here because we're connected. Mm-hmm. It's not because you sold me on the podcast, and not because I wanted to make sure I get my next 2025, 4th of July invite with my new grandson. No, it's connecting on a different level. And I think
Right.
that has been something that I've been able to do my whole entire life, is connect at a different level.
You've connected on so many different levels.
Yeah.
And I totally agree because I'm in sales and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But it's all about people skills. I feel like I can sell anything, but it's not about what I sell. It's about servicing you, taking care of everything, and just, that I'm not here just to sell you product.
The thing is, Holly, I don't know because I've never been on a sales call with you. I only know you. You have attention to detail. You care that
I care.
See?
That's a big word.
And that's
you
probably
could
what
tell
people
a
are
used
finding-
car salesman
Right.
from us.
Right.
I
Right.
think that there's a difference. We care about our people. I'm not a used car salesman at all.
Holly, you bring up a good point. Back when I started that career at Muzak, right? And I was covering enterprise sales for all retail brands in the world. So every Gap, you'd walk into every Gap. I'd do all the music, do all the sound systems. If you were in San Francisco, if you were in Paris, if you were in Japan, it was all me doing that music. And not just Gap. Every retail brand had my music playing in it. I made connections with those individuals that they've moved on. And I stayed, and I would go into a city and have dinner with those friends.
Oh, isn't that great? That's the best part of everything.
And
at the end of the day.
To this date, they come into Chicago. They call me. We probably don't even have any business together to do, but we still connect.
Mm-hmm.
We still talk about our kids. Now we're getting older, right?
Yeah,
People
right.
are retiring.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of the things that I've always done is always connect with people and always stay consistent in people's lives.
That's great.
See, you
that's
both
such a
have
great-
those gifts. Both of you have the gifts of caring, connection, communication, and giving a rat's ass about what happens to your customer. You
Right.
want them to be happy. You want them to be satisfied because you know that it all comes back to you.
Right. You don't want to
know
just
you
close
did
the
a good
deal and go,
job.
see you in 2 years.
Yeah, no, that doesn't.
No,
well, you'll never
no.
see them in 2 years because they won't take your call after that.
Exactly.
And that's probably why the two of you connected because you both realize that
Probably.
intrinsic quality.
I've
in
always
each
been
other.
fascinated with Andy's accolades and where you've gone with your life. And it's like, okay, what are you doing now? But you were going to skip the smell company.
Oh, well,
Wait. Before we move on to the smell company,
Okay.
I do, I love that.
Okay.
Well, I'm very big on
Scent?
aromas and scents.
Yeah.
Oh, huge, like crazy. You and I, here's the only connection that Andrew is mood. You said mood music, right?
Yep,
Didn't you
right.
say? I did a demo for Mood Here,
right.
which is Mood Music. Mood Music, I believe, is the overriding
Yeah.
corporation. Okay, well, probably one of the divisions was the Mood Here, which I did a demo for them selling it to different stores and companies and corporations, and which is crazy for. Anyway, I did a demo and apparently it worked. I was the female voice, another gentleman was a male voice, and I guess it worked because it's all over. But that's the connection, bizarrely, all these years
crazy,
later.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That you and I have, and I
Yes.
discovered that at
When we were going
your
through his
fourth-
LinkedIn.
Well, no, at the 4th of July party, actually, Andrew and I talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just
Wow.
Well,
Crazy.
and it's so funny because I would fly into an airport and I would hear, no parking zone or where whatever the overhead would be playing. And it would be a friend of mine, Leilani LaForce, and she would be telling me what to do. She was at one point probably more well known than the one that would tell you what time it was. Remember that? I mean,
that was me.
You did time?
I did time and temperature for Chicago.
Oh.
We're sitting in royalty right here.
I know. We
I
are.
know you
Hey,
are.
do you know what time it is?
I am. I am with you.
No, she did the
No,
radio.
yeah. But no, time and temp. I was the voice for Chicago, and it's anywhere in its
I don't remember
environments.
it was on radio news where you said the time is.
No. This was when people used to call in
Here.
and say the
What-
time and temperature.
Well, I think you need to tell us what time is it.
Yes, I want to
Yeah,
hear
we
the
wanna
time
hear it.
voice.
And
Let's do a
let's do it.
throwback.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Okay. I can't really read your watch. Okay. Okay. It's a very groovy watch. The time is 5:22. The temperature is 95 degrees. That's me.
Wow.
And scene.
Cut, take, it's a wrap. Wow.
Wow. See,
I was known as Two Take
never know.
Dominique.
Well, she
but-
is royalty.
No,
well, I know she's
no,
royalty in
no.
the music in the
This is not
radio
about me.
industry.
No,
I
no.
know, I know. Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later.
No, but I
Fine.
just wanted to say that's so funny you say that.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. That is funny. Oh my god!
Yeah, so I'll go to Scent.
everybody has a
Yeah,
connection.
we all see this is a connection, right?
This is like
And you-
yeah.
That's our common
We
thread.
get each other.
Yeah, your
So talk
studio
about-
smells wonderful.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, please,
Trying to
God,
figure out what
because
it
you
is.
know, Holly knows I'm a freak about how
Cleaning.
things.
Yeah.
Well,
Cleaning,
and
cleaning,
and
cleaning.
if I've got like a rodent smell or something, or
I
like
can't smell.
Well, I
walk
can.
in. She'll. Can you smell that? I'm like,
I know, I bring people over
to smell.
to the house to say, can you smell that?
Yeah. Well, you're not off. I mean, So I will tell you about Scent.
Mood
Okay.
scent. It's called mood scent.
Mood music. So
There's mood music, but
mood media, mood music, and then so before it was mood, it was Muzak, and I had gone and pretty much sold the pipeline. Every retailer was using my music. There was, I was starting getting into the recurring, like the renewal process, which we had an account man. I had an account manager, Linda LaValle, who did fantastic with that, and they were like, "Well, we really are thinking about." A group of board members of Muzak said, "We're thinking about buying this company called Scent Air." And what that was, Scent Air originated out of Disney Imagineering. And where it really originated from is there was a ride called Soar, which was you were like on a hang glider,
Okay.
and you didn't move anywhere. You just had a big screen, and you
Oh.
would
Is it
soar down.
Disney?
Yeah, Disney. You would soar
Okay.
down into the valleys,
Don't
and
know
you would
about
go
it.
up to the mountains, and you would. Well, Disney being Disney Imagineering, not only did they did the visuals, but then they figured out how to do scent. So as you had the visuals and then you had the scent, you would feel like you were soaring through the mountains, and that's where.
like an ozone sort of scent, or
No, it was like a babbling brook. What does water smell like? What does a cold forest smell like in the morning? What's a leather and an old Rolls Royce smell like, right? And that's a funny
Okay.
story with that one that I want to come back to. The group purchased the rights to doing this scent marketing, and it's called Scent Air. And so I was kind of tapping out or did a lot of retail, and they said, we think you'd be really good at now going back to your clients and telling them about scent marketing. This before like it was really even a thing.
Right.
So I had to call, literally Scent Air's office. I don't play golf, but it's been told it's a 5-iron shot from Muzak at the time. So I went down there, started working in scent marketing and scent, and calling on my retailers, my old clients,
Yeah.
talking about how you should think about scenting your stores. And all the research, and scent is very amazing because you can remember something, but right next to where you remember, it's where you recognize scent, and you start putting the two and two together. So if you think about going back to the 747, smelling my kids, how they smelled like everything goes back. So I could literally sit on that plane and think about Ailish or think about Reese. Or I could open up a pack of Double Mint gum. My dad always chewed Double Mint gum and
my
smell
gosh,
Double Mint
that's so
gum,
true.
right?
Right.
So
Scent
if you-
has so much memory.
I still remember my ex-husband's high school letter jacket, how it smelled. Because you know how when you're in high school, like, oh,
Yeah.
my boyfriend's letter jacket. I still remember how that smelled in high school.
And I still remember how my mom smelled.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't that crazy? So go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's.
And my grandmother.
Yeah, and it's not. It's amazing. Like you have those great pictures of the dogs coming up the stairs.
Yeah.
If you had, there's a scent and a memory with all of those dogs, no matter what, and it's amazing. And to this date, I can, even if you just smell Double Mint gum, I could think of my dad and he, Navy, and always had a brand new Cadillac. He'd like, but I can still smell the Double Mint inside of that Cadillac.
Isn't
Wow.
that crazy?
Yeah. So I went to go over to my retail clients and start selling this idea of scent marketing. And some of them got it. And I know one of my favorite stories, and I don't know if the story's still there, but I was calling on M&M, Mars,
Oh, okay. Wow.
and in Times Square.
Oh.
And do you guys remember the Hershey's store that was in Chicago right by the water tower? There was a Hershey
Oh
store,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It was multi-floor. There were many floors.
You'd walk in and I used to love it because people walk
Oh,
in like,
God.
this chocolate smells so great. Well, if they would have just looked up on top of that door, there would have been a machine pumping out chocolate.
Isn't that smart? You know who started this all?
Who?
It was Mrs. Fields with that not coffee,
Oh, the
excuse me,
chocolate
the
chocolate cheese.
Somebody in her company, and this was in the 80s, early 80s.
Right.
Wasn't she like big back then? Would blast that out. And then
Your nose in the mall would go right to that Mrs. Fields. I got to get a Mrs.
Well,
Fields.
do you remember
Yeah.
Abercrombie and Fitch?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
With that Fierce cologne?
No, it was too much.
By design. First of all, the music was played at such a volume level that
I
no
complained
parents went.
every time.
How'd that work out?
Not good. I didn't, because I'm like, Chelsea, I can't stay in the store any longer. I can't hear. He's trying to talk to me, and the smell is watering my eyes. Why did they do that?
That to keep you out.
Why?
Because you would hand Chelsea your credit card and say, go get your clothing. And you'd sit out on the bench.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's why they were dark.
Did it on purpose.
And not only did they have
Really
scent,
dark.
and that wasn't done by Scent Air. I knew who it was done by, but they would not only go around and spritz and scent the whole store,
God.
but they would also use
it in.
scent through the HVAC, and
No wonder.
the paper would be scented with Fierce.
Oh my God.
So you couldn't get. What that did is when you went home, it was in the car. You smelled it.
Yeah.
You were like A&F. Memories, emotion, scent, marketing, music.
I was like, I'm never going in there again.
Yeah.
Well, that was your emotion, and your
And
daughter's.
Hollister was the same way.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
that's same company.
Yeah, I know they
Wow.
were.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was awful.
The best part is when we started scenting a bunch of resorts in Las Vegas.
I was going to ask you about casinos and so forth.
Oh yeah, and like Aria Resort is one of the Aria. When you walk in there, it smells like baby powder
And why?
because the number one scent men like baby powder.
Really?
Yeah,
Why,
What's up
why
with
do you like
that?
baby powder so much?
I don't really like baby powder.
Okay.
I mean, I like vetiver, but you know what I mean. Like so.
Oh,
But
vetiver.
baby powder is the number one scent that people go to.
Interesting.
Men go to.
I would love to see scent studies in
Yeah.
general.
There's a million of them out there. You know what? And you probably know this, Lisa, but the scent, it's like music. So you have a bottom, middle, and a top note. And so if you're trying a new perfume on or cologne on, you should never just buy it, spray it and buy it. You have to put it on, mixes with your pH. And then the end, about an hour and a half after that, that's your base. That's exactly what you're going to smell like.
Right, how it
So
mixes with your chemistry.
Oh.
Top note's going to burn off in like 15 minutes, and you got the middle note, and then you've got the base, and the base is what's going to it's going to stay with you. And depending on your PhD, or you're not your PhD, your
PH.
pH. Do you have a PhD?
PhD.
No, I don't. I have PhD in BS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where you end up on the cologne that you like, and it smells good. So
But nobody has time for that. They're like, I need perfume. Okay, bye.
Well, that's crazy.
So they say you should stay here for an hour and walk around the store.
We
Well,
should
they're
ask for a
right.
sample and put the sample on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was scent marketing. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a tough sell.
And so then where did you go?
So then I took a little hiatus again.
Wow, you're very fortunate that you were able to take hiatuses.
Yes. Yeah.
Agreed.
Because with kids and college and
Yeah.
everything. Okay.
Yeah.
so,
Plus, there were some things I needed to get done at my home too, and with my family that needed to have extra care, and so I was
Right.
afforded that luxury to do that and to get everybody right set.
situated.
Yeah, situated.
I understand.
And-
okay, so
I was working out. Well, I went to work for MasterCard,
oh, that's right. I remember that stint.
which yes, and it was after I stopped working at Scent Air. I had a good friend, Jen Millard, who her daughter and my daughter were good friends, and Jen's an absolute wonderful person, one of the hardest working people I've ever met. I called and said, "Hey, I'm looking to do something." She's like, "Well, I'm starting up a new card loyalty program at MasterCard. Do you want to work here? You need to call in retailers." I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Retailers, there you go.
What do we do? She goes, "I'm sorry, you're just 1 month too late to get the stock."
Oh no.
Oh,
I go, "Well, then what's the pay like?" Because they
Yeah.
didn't get the stock. They all made money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or they had the time when they were going to make
You
money.
talking about the IPO?
No, when
Me
they just sold it to Mastercard.
I'm so sorry. I
they
don't
sold
know
it.
a lot
they,
about that area.
They sold it to Mastercard, and so I find myself working in Mastercard, which is absolutely a huge company, fantastic people that work there, but boring as all hell.
Oh.
Just
Who would you be selling to? I don't
to all
understand.
retailers. So what we would do is we had these card loyalty programs where you would go and it was discrete discounts. So I would go to Nordstrom and say, hey, look, we're going to do some in-card offers on MasterCard as Nordstrom. You want to conquest, or you want people from Saks or Neiman to stop shopping there, but you want them to shop at your store, Nordstrom. We're going to put an in-statement ad in your statement only to you that if you use that at Nordstrom, you're going to get $50 off your first $100 purchase.
We've got, I've seen, okay, now,
Right?
yeah,
It's
I've
old.
seen
It's
those.
old news now, right? But back then it was something new and
Yeah.
innovative, right?
Right.
Things are steaming along. We're making some sales. We're selling something more than Jimmy, Papa Murphy pizza places. And lo and behold, Target got hacked. And so all the credit cards got hacked. And
Right.
everybody started pulling out of the program because they're like, we're no longer going to be dealing with our card holders. No one else is going to be part of this program. Everybody pulled back on card loyalty programs in their credit card. God. So
Freaking hackers, man.
yeah, one day it went from 14 million cards to 300,000, probably like overnight, just pulled out. So that was interesting. I was offered to go find my smile somewhere else because they were shutting the system down.
No.
So yeah. So I again had some time to think about what I was doing. But most importantly, where I am now is I'm at Nielsen, or we call it NIQ. And so you probably remember Nielsen Media, right?
Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, Nielsen
what I
ratings.
remember.
I was, as being in broadcasting, I was heavily tapped into
Oh, yeah.
the Nielsen's. Nielsen's is an Arbitron. Well, Arbitron
Yeah,
mostly,
yeah,
but Nielsen's, yeah.
Well, based here in Chicago, 100 years ago, AC.
On Willow Road.
Yeah. Arthur Nielsen started the company. So 3 years, maybe almost 4 years ago, Jim Peck, our CEO, purchased the data rights from Nielsen Media. And so we created a company called Nielsen IQ, or NIQ. And in that last 3 years or so, I was actually working out on the treadmill, and I got a call from a headhunter who said, you have a very great background in beauty. I have a hot job for you to come work at Nielsen IQ. And I go, I don't want to work for the desktop media company. I worked at Muzak. Worst possible brand equity in the world.
But you'd already been involved with digital development.
All of that stuff. So, I'm on the treadmill. I can barely hear her. I said, give me a couple minutes. I'll call you right back. So I call her back and she says, hey, look, we're starting a new company, branching. It's an old new company, blah, blah, blah. We think you'd be really good because of your beauty background and all the things that you've had experience-wise. So after 7 interviews, and after the 7th interview,
God.
it was after the 7th interview, I said, if I have to do one more interview, I'm going to start drinking.
I'm going to start drinking and I quit.
Yeah, and
before
I
I'm
quit
hired.
before I'm hired. So I interviewed with Nielsen, and remember, I'm not really a data guy, and this is a real heavy data analytics insight company, and a lot of acronyms. And I get the job after the 7th interview, and I start the deep dunk into NIQ. And I had my Sally Fields moment where I was in the shower and I just started bursting into tears. I'm like, I don't want to do this at whatever it was, 53 or 54. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to learn the acronyms. Can you just say the word? They don't have to just say the EOP, FID, BOE, whatever the deal is. Like at the end of the day, I'd be like writing down. So from that point on,
But you're a quick study.
but I'm a quick study.
And every industry has its own acronyms,
Right.
and that's almost required. It's said.
Yeah. So I said, well, okay, I want to make this a go. I think there's a great opportunity. We're a 100-year-old, we're a 3-year-old company with a 100-year background, and we've got all the data in the world that we can support anything, right? So, and I was hired for the beauty vertical. They said, okay, congratulations. Here's your first account. It's Sally Beauty.
Oh my God. They're national. They're international. They're
Huge. They're international.
I
They're
know.
big. They're, they've got Sally Beauty. They've got a bunch of different brands. They own the Cosmoprof part of that, which is the professional side of the business. So they handed me, they're like, okay, go stand up Sally Beauty on data. And remember, we aggregate
God.
all the data
I would
in.
Poop my pants.
Seriously, I'm pooping my pants right now just thinking about
know,
him having to deal with
I
it.
know.
I just pooped my pants.
We know.
So I was like, okay, I got to learn this, right? So, and Nielsen is full of really great, wonderful people that really want to do good. But they were siloed at the time. Like this group only did this part of the business. This group only did this part of the business. And sometimes they talked and sometimes they didn't. Well, I was handed this huge new vertical and I had to onboard Sally into our infrastructure that was used to working with Pepsi and Coca-Cola and Kroger and you name it, right? And so
I'm like,
What's
awe.
this new beauty channel, right?
Yeah.
Well, they had a lot of faith in him, obviously, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, at this point, I've got to do one thing. I've got to focus on getting this Sally Beauty in our data sets appropriately. The whole thing's got to work for us to make this beauty channel to grow. And I spent the next year and a half working with every one of our teams, making sure we had meetups. We were talking to people nonstop. And we actually successfully stood them up. They're a client of ours. They're happy. They've actually starting to understand how data can really show you the true meaning of things. And so that was probably my biggest success to date at NIQ.
It was almost like getting another MBA.
It was,
Wow.
I mean, really, at that age in life where most people are like, I don't want to learn all that.
yeah.
And you're just like, no, I can figure. But you did it.
Did
and
it.
now it's like second nature, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that that I was able to do at NIQ is I was also able to I was asked to step up and be the leader for North America NRG for Pride. So I run
right.
Pride
At
North
the
Am-
same time?
Yeah, I run
Through
Pride
your company?
through the company. So my company
Oh.
tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, we'd like to get part of this." So it's volunteer. You know, it's my passion, right? It's volunteered work. So I started running Pride for us at NIQ for North America, meaning America and
Okay, what does
Canada.
that mean? Marketing, getting involved?
it just means you sign up for our ERG, you're part of the community. We do events for you, long-term
Oh,
education,
okay.
learning. We have fun events.
It's a plus for your clientele.
It's a plus for
Everybody.
our team.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And one of the things at NIQ is great. We have 52.5% female ran business. So our leadership is almost all females.
Oh,
That's unusual.
Unusual and unique and really good because the way that our senior leadership leads is by thoughtful processes and taking care of people. Like I was recently in New York where we were talking to another small company called LVMH where they were talking their Pride group and my Pride group. We got together and we had an open forum, open communication platform. We're talking about some of the things that we're doing together collectively and separately and all that. It was really beneficial. I really feel like when companies make that decision to invest, the end product, and we can get to the numbers, is 88%. Those companies succeed in the marketplace better. So when I see things like companies pulling out of their DE&I program, absolutely.
What's that?
yeah.
Diversity,
Equity.
and inclusion.
Oh,
Diversity,
okay.
equity, and
DEI. I
inclusion.
thought you said DEI.
DEI, right?
Diversity,
when they
equity,
pull out of
inclusion.
those kind of programs, it has long-term effects on their employee base because, as we all know, you don't leave a job because you leave the job because you don't like the manager. And if the manager's not being part of that program, and if you're not rowing the same direction, you spend 80% of your life at work, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm proud I get to run that for North America. We have a number of events going on where we bring people in. One of the best things none of it's recorded. It's a safe space. Probably have about just under 1,000 people part of that group within North America and Canada, and we host events all the time. And it's been
So
really
great.
really enriching.
Because it's something that you're passionate about that you get to do with your job.
Yeah.
It's like a double win-win.
Yeah, Holly, it's one of those things where you find yourself doing something that you like or you love because you see the smile on people's faces.
Okay, 2 questions. When are you going to do a TED Talk?
Oh,
I bet you're in the lineup.
Holly, that's
You
so
got to do
good.
a TED Talk. And then the other thing is just inspiring people getting out of college or going from high school to college. They don't have to go to college. That's the whole thing. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the thing.
Tom never went to college.
Yeah.
I was a home ec major.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, it was stupid. And
That's not stupid. It's just
but I mean,
interesting.
I was motivated in my own self to do something.
yeah.
And it's like your resume is fascinating,
Yeah.
and you're very inspiring, to say the least.
I love the TED Talk idea, Holly. That's great.
Thank you. You're always so sweet.
But no, so I'm serious because you're articulate. You could talk to any audience, but with your history and your, like I said, your resume, you can really inspire people.
You know, Holly, one of the things because we're fairly like I work with a lot of younger people, right?
okay.
I'm in my mid 50s.
Well, because
Yeah.
you're in the digital area, so of course.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of the dinosaur here.
Right.
But what I've always done with all young people that, I'm saying they're, 25 to 30, whatever, is I always compliment them on doing a good job. We can, trust me, we can kill it with a deck. It can be 76 pages in a deck, and you've got some, they're nervous about presenting to a bunch of people, but if you give them the compliment,
the positive energy and that whole,
even when they're doing, I'm like, you're doing a great job. I mean,
right.
we all need to hear that.
And they don't.
And
typically,
they don't hear it. They don't hear it.
Typically, they work from home. They do this. I see it in my own children.
Even when you're in person, the positive reinforcement is more important than anybody realizes.
I totally agree.
But when you tell someone that something they did was good and positive and that helped move whatever project or whatever, or just what they did was good, that
means more than money.
It blanks out anything that they're just like, wow.
My boss recognized that.
You know what I saw today when I was walking downtown, an errand really quick, is there was probably 10 women dressed up as older women with bee bonnets and old canes, and they were all walking down the street, and everybody walking past them had a smile. They were taking pictures. So we got to the corner there by 900 North Michigan, and I said, what are you guys doing? And they're like, it's her 40th birthday. We're doing granny brunch. And so they all dressed up as grannies. And I said to them, you realize that I've been walking behind you guys for a block or two, and everybody that's walked past you, you've put a smile on their face just by putting a costume on and just by having fun.
Yeah.
And if we just did more of that,
we don't
do enough of that.
Right.
We
It's
don't,
all tech, digital.
It's all looking down on the phone. It's
and the screens.
Yeah. I recently, lost my mom in April, and I miss her every day. Thanks. But one of the things that I always did for my mom is every Halloween, every Christmas, every Easter, I would order a stupid outfit off of Amazon, whether it was a dinosaur or a rabbit or elf or whatever. And I would always show up at her door, and it would make her smile.
Wait, for her to wear?
For me to wear to her. She would never know what I would be, and I would never come in announced. And I'd knock on the door, and my mom would go, oh my God, Andy. See, she's West Coast. Andy, oh my God. But yeah, to this day. So when I pass away, someone's going to get my stuff and see I have like 18 costumes, which is, point being is you can bring smile to people's lives with just saying hello or just being goofy a little bit.
We'll finish that conversation next week on part 2 of our conversation with Andrew Yeager. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk next week. This is Ladies Who Question, a Harvey Doodle production. Thanks, Harvey. Ladies Who Question is executive produced and edited by me, Lisa Dominique, and also executive produced by Holly Caulfield. Holly also does most of our research, and Claire Caulfield is in charge of technical assistance and social media. Music, My Lionheart. Sketch music by Florian Manx and Matthew Anderson. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, rate, and review Ladies Who Question on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Send your thoughts to ladieswhoquestion@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and our website, ladieswhoquestion.com.
All content discussed on Ladies Who Question are the opinions of Lisa Dominique and Holly Caulfield and should not be construed as advice of any kind. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as advice of any personal or medical issue for yourself or others. This disclaimer also applies to guests or contributors to the podcast.